How do you contribute to society besides having a job? I volunteer as a telephone counsellor for people who are suicidal or going through crisis. It's very rewarding and I highly recommend it for anyone interested. I do it too. Usually if you type your city crisis line, you can get decent results. Suicide calls make up less than 20% of the calls I take. There's a lot of lonely people who just want to talk to someone. I have one caller that knows when I'm volunteering and will keep calling back until she gets through to me. She knows I love animals and just wants to talk about her rabbits and her week. That's a really easy 15 to 20 minute call, and I enjoy that because there's nothing stressful. Other times I get in-progress suicides where everything that could go wrong does, and it's incredibly stressful. There are a lot of callers who have borderline or full-on abusive partners that keep saying, "I don't know if I should leave. They do X, but I love them." And they often make me want to just slam the phone on the table because they just go in circles. You can't give advice, and you can never judge the situations they're in. I've wanted to quit many times, but I just keep going. Hey, just wanted to say that you're doing such an amazing thing for these people. You are truly awesome. If it doesn't burn you out, it's great. But if you think you can't cope with it anymore, it's totally okay to leave too. After all, care about yourself as well. I approach every single person working in any sort of customer service position with a smile and a pleasant attitude. I like to make them feel like the stuff they're doing for me, packing the cheese from the deli or checking if this shirt comes in my size or whatever, actually means something to me, and that I understand that they're making things easier for me. Usually makes them smile, which also makes me smile. From someone who works in retail, thank you. From someone who doesn't work in retail, thank you. I'm a hobby beekeeper, so I do my part for nature. Plus I teach kids about it several times a year. Not much, but at least it's something. I help high schoolers with their maths problems once a week and occasionally volunteer at a student-run pub to make sure students can handle their studies. Student-run pub? Like bar? Popular in the UK where the drinking age is 18. I've been slowly transforming my backyard into an edible perennial food forest to reclaim the land that had been sterile homogeneous grass for so long, bombarded with weed killer and pesticides. The soil used to be almost straight sand and had no organic matter. Couldn't hold water for it. I went to my local compost facility, began hauling in compost and mulch, which is free. I stopped cleaning up in the fall and instead used the lawnmower to mow over the leaves so they decompose in the yard. Planted lots of perennial edible fruits and veggies, but layered them in a way where it looked like a garden. This was started 3 years ago. These days, when I'm working in the yard, I come upon more worms than I can count. The soil is dark and rich, and I have hummingbirds, honeybees and butterflies visiting. I also have not bought eggs or vegetables since early April. I keep ducks. So I also go to the grocery less and use less gas. I don't think it's much, but I hope I'm doing a little part in helping the environment heal. Edited to add, thank you for the gold, kind stranger. A lot of people are asking for pictures, so here's about a quarter of my garden, dearjuneberry.com, and a list of what I grow. I'm using it to document what works and what doesn't in my climate here in Zone 7B. Some of the plants that I've finished documenting are clickable if you want to see their fruits and their growth habits. If you're interested in the ducks, poke around the labels on them and there's a couple of posts. I hatched them as well. No issues with HOAs. I don't think we even have them here except in gated communities. Only under town and in my case village law. They even allow front yard vegetable gardens, so some people have been making businesses out of borrowing front lawns to grow produce to sell at farmers markets. Plus, it's a more efficient carbon sink. What produce do you grow? Oh yes, I actually forgot about that aspect, haha. Thank you for reminding me. I was actually outside last week debating if I should pull out all the little oak seedlings that popped up because my mower doesn't shred acorns well. On one hand, they'll get out of control real fast and destroy my deck because they're all around there. But on the other, they're taking carbon out of the air when they're growing. I give blood. Although they give me tea and biscuits afterwards, I still feel that I am giving more than I am receiving. I'm O negative, and they keep giving me stuff whenever I donate red cells. I've gotten grocery bags, shirts, gift bags. It's pretty neat, but those guys are like mob bosses who missed a payment if my time to give is due again. Like letters every few days in my mailbox type stuff. Fellow O negative here. They definitely do hound you if you miss a drive. My local RC keeps changing phone numbers too, so it's not quite as easy to ignore all the calls. There's a lot of litter in my neighbourhood. When I take my dog for a walk, I'll take a bag with me and fill it with some garbage. I will also occasionally return shopping carts that are left abandoned on the side of the street. I think it looks a bit trashy, and I certainly need to get more exercise anyway. I also don't panic when I have to park more than 5 car slots away from the door. Sometimes I even do it for fun because I can walk, so why not walk? I also teach this to my kids. My motto is, my legs ain't broke. I volunteer with my local police department and I'm a car seat technician. I think the car seat tech stuff makes more of an impact in the long run. Teaching families how to make sure their children are as safe as possible in vehicles. I've had a couple of families come back to me after a collision to tell me how glad they are that I had helped them. The thing I love most about the police volunteer stuff is when little girls come up to me, I'm in uniform and look like an officer, and tell me how they want to be an officer, or their parents tell me how excited they were to see a female officer. Teaches little girls they can be anything they put their mind to. Car seat safety is so important, and it bothers me how nonchalant parents are about installing them. I always suggest people have someone trained to install it for them, and then see them a few months later with a rear-facing infant carrier facing forwards, with ridiculous amounts of slack in the latches or seatbelt, and the chest strap is down near the baby's diaper. I don't get it, and it makes me want to murder their parents, strap the kid into my Titus L car seat and drive off. 5 minutes ago, I saw a kid who looked about 2 years old sitting in a vehicle with just the seatbelt. It hurts my heart because with my training I know exactly what would happen in a collision. I let people who use their blinker cut in front of me in traffic whenever possible. I also do this. We've all been in the wrong lane at some point. I'd rather let in 99 drivers than shut out one nervous driver that made a mistake. I use my indicators to warn fellow drivers I'm about to turn. A true hero. A real human being. If you have a car or a carpool and a cell phone, you can use the Waze app and update it when you see something abnormal in the road. Traffic, pothole, mattress, etc. It's a small thing but helps people avoid traffic or hazards and helps the government diagnose problem areas. See, it's a neat future, but I've always thought it was also not a great idea because we need fewer distractions for drivers, and tinkering on an app just adds to the mix of potential or preventable car accidents. I hope voice integration becomes a thing at some point, then I definitely use it. I donate small amounts to charity. I discuss important issues in civil ways in an effort to refine my perspective and help others do the same. I try to improve the experiences of people around me. That's about all I've got. I keep a reasonable distance between my car and the car in front of me. I don't litter. Side rant, I have this neighbour behind me. Every time he mows his lawn, he throws all the things his kid leaves in the yard, or the dog has ripped up from that, 3-foot-high dead limb pile backyard, into my backyard. But as a decent member of society, if it is obviously not trash, like a basketball, I throw it back over. I want to throw it in the garbage, but I know it's his kid's basketball that he plays with all the time. I returned the cart at the market. I pay taxes. I do all that I can not to harm anyone. I work for the state, which is a thankless, terrible paying job. I brew beer for all my friends. I am the dungeon master of the group. I mow my lawn at reasonable intervals. There's some. Makes me sound nice, but I'm not as good. Most likely, let's be honest. I like that being dungeon master could be considered a good deed. Makes all my hard work feel more worth it. I collect money for the local hospice. I donate to dogs in the pound. I sign petitions against animal cruelty. I look out for injured wild animals and try to help them. I read part of this as I donate dogs to the pound. I also read it this way. I have planted and cared for over 7,000 trees over the last couple of decades. Oak, maple, walnut, pecan, chestnut, hickories, black gum, bald cypress, river birch, beech, cherry, alder, ash, which are dying because of EAB, and several different pine, spruce and fir. The best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. You got that right, although I still plant a few hundred every year. I grow many seeds that I have collected from ones that I planted 20 plus years ago. I foster animals from the local shelter. I'm too poor to own my own pet right now, but if you're a foster, the shelter gives you any supplies you need and pays for vet's bills. In return, I get to cuddle kittens and take dogs out on adventures. I'm lucky enough to have a forever rescue puppy of my own, but I just wanted to say thank you. As someone who grew up with pets, taking care of them doesn't seem like a ton of work, it's just normal. For me, it's a hugely rewarding experience in exchange for what feels like minimal effort. By being a reasonable human being, not throwing stuff on the ground, parking properly, not leaving my trash behind me, being polite and patient with others, not rushing anywhere, etc. I think I'm doing more than the majority, actually. I do the same, but I think that's more about minimizing my disruption to society rather than contributing to society. If you litter or park like an a-hole, it's worse than if you never existed at all because you're actively making society worse. If you're just generally courteous, you're neither adding nor subtracting to society. You, friend, are what I aspire to be more like. Minding my own business. No, I'm not yelling at the bus driver for being 20 minutes late, making me late to my job. No, I don't tell everyone who doesn't know better that it's, I want this badly, and not, I want this bad. I let people kiss whoever they want and don't care if my friend votes differently than I do. I even tolerate my neighbour's love ballads to his dog at 3 a.m. and the obscenely, and I mean obscenely, nothing against little chub, overweight man that rides the bus every morning with me and robs my air to breathe with his sweaty stench. I let things slide and don't comment and withhold that annoying entitlement to denounce and correct everything so many people that apparently never leave their computer have going on. I mind my own business. I wish more people would. I love you. Same. Entertainment. Spreading creativity and brightening people's day. Make videos, music, stories, art, jokes, hell, anything. The more you create, the more you evolve your style and the better it gets. Everyone has this ability, and just don't utilize it because society tells them only a select few have the ability to entertain. Society tries to kill creativity and promote conformity. It's sad, but it can be utilized in your creative pursuits. Wow, thanks for the reassurance that creativity is a valuable part of society. I really needed this. Of course, I'm glad it helped. My theatre club has been donating most of its earnings to local charities for the last 20 years or so. Beside that, I always smile and try to be as nice as possible to cashiers. I volunteer for the opposition movement in an authoritarian regime. I do it partly because I want to be a force for long-needed change, and probably good, and partly because the first sentence spoken out loud sounds cool. Aren't you scared of being tracked, harassed, arrested, or disappeared? I'm from Russia. It's not that bad. We're not like some kind of secret resistance. The main risk is during mass protests and in Russian social networks. They can arrest you for some made-up reason based on something you post on our analogue of Facebook. I buy Christmas presents for children in care homes. It's run by the council, and they put up a list of what they want. My students used to do boxes for a Christian charity, but it turned out the group was homophobic, so we stopped using them. We do boxes for the homeless now. I love doing this too. Every year I look for the tree in the grocery store with the children's names and their wish lists and pick a few. It's so fun. One year I found a tree for the battered women's shelter, and I hope to find it again or find another way to get gifts to them as well.